I'm Mike Jones, and I'm Director of Corporate and Publishing Technology for Cloud Imperium Games. And right now, I think that's the longest title we have in the company. And it's based because of the merging of our DevOps and our IT departments. And so my responsibility for IT covers the hardware side of things and the infrastructure side of things, but the network and the security and the server deployments and all the automation and all the orchestration that goes into that is all built here with our DevOps team. So there's not a single piece of that that is something that we got from someone else. So there are a few services that we make use of that are commonplace, but for the most part, our systems are all custom designed specifically for our needs. And the reason for that, of course, is this is a very unique game, and we have very unique needs. And so one of my main focuses this month has been our build system and the need for more build resources. Our current build system is made up of 6 high-density servers with a grand total of 240 vCores and 2.3 terabytes of RAM. And this is chock full of build VMs, and we recently introduced the tri-build system, which is just as many more build systems that are designed to do a pre-compile when there's a code check-in. This helps maintain the stability of our build system and the builds as they come out. As we continue to grow our system, we're seeing more and more traffic coming through and more competition for resources. Part of what's happening is we're dealing with problems that we haven't had to deal with before. On previous game projects I've been on, we thought we were doing something big, and it's nothing compared to what we're building here. And so just the amount of assets alone, the art, the pre-compressed data that's coming in is a tremendous amount. If I do a transfer of just one version of the build over a 10 gig network, it can take a half hour to 45 minutes. And this is why we have to break these jobs up. And it's the same with the rest of the game. We break things into pieces so that we can do more in parallel. That's how we get it going fast, and that's the only way we can make this work. Under our current deployment, our primary build system consumes 6 hosts spread across a VMware clustered environment. This configuration allowed us to add tri-build to the existing environment, but as we grew, we saw increasing resource contention. This pretty much leads to longer wait times on a tri-build job. By adding 3 more hosts, we're able to completely isolate tri-build from the primary build system. And this is important, particularly for the engineers who use tri-build constantly. A lot of people don't really realize why it takes so much more to build these builds inside the build system rather than the kind of compile that we do on our desktop computer. And in the traditional sense, when you're compiling on your desktop, you're doing one thing. You're bringing down source code and you're making that compilation of a client or a server, whatever you happen to be working on. But in the build system, we have many needs and we have to do all of it. So in addition to building both the client and the server, I'm building release and profile on multiple branches, sometimes as many as 3. So this means that anytime a build request comes in, we're spinning up a large number of virtual machines. And we found that with the size of this game, the build times can really spread out. So we break those jobs into many smaller pieces, and this is why we can accordion the build process out into this much more server hardware. The reason that we choose to host our services externally rather than internally, there are just a myriad of reasons, but it gives us a tremendous scalability and flexibility. I can pay for just exactly what I need instead of having to make this large capital investment on a whole bunch of gear and then all the bandwidth so that people could access it. And if you think about the multi-region launch that we did recently, we wouldn't be able to as easily do that if we had stuff located and physically stuck in one data center. And this leads us to the need to expand our build system. So today, We're expanding our current rack of 6 hosts by 3 more hosts. We'll be including a total of 72 more virtual cores and a whole lot of networking, and it's going to be really fun. Since our current enclosure was at capacity, we added a second enclosure and wired it in. Ultimately, we plan to move all hosts to the first enclosure and all storage to the second enclosure for simplicity, but we have to take that in phases. We then racked the servers from the bottom to the top in order to leave room for future expansion. Once we got them installed, we realized our fiber cables weren't the right length, so we moved the servers up a bit to account for that temporarily. Once connected, we installed and configured the software for use. We can do that pretty fast now since everything is virtualized in our own little cloud environment. From there, it's a simple process to migrate the virtual machines over with vMotion. This means we can completely migrate a running system over the network with 0 downtime. Each time we do one of these jobs, we end up with a mess of cables. It happens all the time, and I feel like I'm constantly fixing it. In fact, it's kind of a thing now, and everyone likes to see how long it'll take before I find it and fix it, which usually isn't that long. I do this pretty much at every studio I go to now. Once we had all the parts, we were able to get the whole thing up and running in just under 3 hours. As a result, we're now seeing much less contention in the build system, and now we've got some room to grow again. And I'm sure we're going to need it.